we later discovered it wasn't even fully a registered, licensed like school. It was mad. Like the teachers were, I swear one of the teachers took too much acid like in the 70s, and obviously it wasn't just for attention. There were like, it was escapism and everything, but definitely a big part of it was to just, it was like a big call for help. I finally found this like passion in dance that I've never knew I had before, and then it just all like went away. It's made me so much more in tune with myself and with the world. It happened so freaking fast. It happened overnight. I was just someone that liked to dance to house music. I was DJing back then still. It's almost like the universe started giving me little like rewards, and just things came together like.
Okay, Matt. Welcome to Getting There with Amy Claire, the Life Story podcast, as we'll call it. So with this podcast, I usually like to hand it straight over to you, just to introduce yourself for the guests, just to kind of give them a bit idea about you.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Max. I'm originally Dutch, but I grew up in Spain, in Barcelona. And then I moved to London when I was 18. I've been here for 5 years. Originally came for screen acting. I dropped out after the first year, realized it wasn't for me, and then I started DJing. So that's what I do now. I'm a DJ and a part-time social media manager. And yeah, that's a bit of me.
No, that's amazing. So this is actually the first time in person I'm seeing you, so it's really exciting. But yes, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So I'm going to go straight in to your first event that you feel was quite profound for you. So it says here you were around 12 to 14 years of age, so you kind of like that young teenage time. Yeah. You had your first experience with mental health and anxiety disorders. It was a really tough time, but for your family as well. You felt out of place, especially in a family of sports fanatics.
Yeah.
Okay. But you like to sing and dance. So, okay, I can already imagine at this particular age, we're kind of finding our feet, we're kind of finding our identity a bit more. So, yeah, tell me about your kind of environment then. You said it's sports fanatics and that's not you. So, yeah, just tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at that age, it was definitely not more of a profound event. It was mainly just like as many would be at that age, an age of development. But I still am very sensitive, but I was a very sensitive child growing up. And I guess now I'm still sensitive, but I just now have learned, coping skills and tools to be able to deal with my sensitivity and still be able to, be strong. Back then I was just sensitive. I was just a sensitive blob. And so as I, grew up and went through these changes, and as like hormones were going through, like it was just a recipe for disaster. And because we were in a family of sport fanatics. So my mom she was a professional tennis player or semi-professional tennis player in Holland, and now she's an athlete. So now she's I don't know if you've ever heard of High Rocks, but she's like world champion. She's like 50 something years old. Sorry, Mom, don't know your age, but you don't know either. She's like 50 something years old, and she's like in the best shape that I've ever seen anyone ever. So she's mad sports fanatic. She's a champion. And then, my dad isn't a sports fanatic, but he loves tennis, loves tennis. And then my sister was also a semi-pro tennis player at like the ages of like 15, or like basically her entire teenage year. She was semi-professional, going to all these different countries, playing tennis, going to a special school, etc., etc. And I was very expressive, so I was very creative. I liked making videos, I liked dancing, I liked singing, anything creative. And I just felt like I didn't really have any... I felt like at one point I wasn't good at anything, and I didn't have any talent. And, in school I wasn't that smart, So that makes me laugh. I wasn't that smart.
Why does that make you laugh?
Oh man, because it doesn't matter. Like school academics means can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, if you
Oh,
want.
great. Means jack shit. Like, all I've come away from school is how many mitochondria is there in the cell? There's 2, right? My point is proven.
This is great. Actually, I love this. Don't worry. There's zero judgment in this podcast about how much you know about cells. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. So there's really not much I took away from school. But I'm a responsible adult, and I'm here living alone in London, so that takes some kind of intellect, So yeah, I didn't feel like I was good at school. I didn't feel pretty enough, as most, teenage girls do. So there was just, I felt like I didn't really have anything to offer the world. And yeah, I started to then really, really heavily focus on my looks, because I felt like growing up as well, like my body and my looks were the only thing that could get me like a little bit of attention. So I became basically, to put it like real honestly, I became a little bit of an attention whore. But I feel like that, like when people say, oh, she just wants attention, I'm like, you're saying that like that, you're saying like you don't want attention. Everybody wants attention. We're human. We want to be loved. Like, it's so natural to want to be seen and want to be heard and want to be loved. And if you're a kid in an environment where you feel like you're not being seen, obviously you're going to start trying to find that elsewhere, or do anything to get that attention. So I want, from a very young age, wanted all kinds of plastic surgeries. There was a point where my body image was so bad, I just could not look in the mirror. Like I had to, I think I was like 13, I would cover up all the mirrors in my house because I would cry if I'd look in them.
Really?
And I would like spend hours, there was a time where I would go to the gym 3 times a day. I was just, so obsessed with my appearance. And I remember a little bit before this, I had, which did not help, I developed, I do not know how to pronounce this, but it's an anxiety disorder called like trichotillomania, something. It's basically hair pulling disorder.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it started with my eyelashes, then my eyebrows, and then my hair. And then I had like a little bald patch on my hair. So I used to wear a beanie literally everywhere, even in like the scorching heat in Spain, like in the summer, I would wear a beanie. Obviously I had to get teased for this in school, but it's because I had a bald patch. I was super insecure about it. And yeah, I just kind of spiraled from there. It just spiraled, and obviously the insecurity led into just me being a very, very depressed kid. And me being a very depressed kid then led to me, especially because I still felt like, even me being depressed, I still felt like I wasn't really being seen or being taken seriously. Even with my mental health, I didn't feel like my mental health was really like, was kind of like, oh, it's a phase thing.
Yeah.
So that made me feel even more like I was just a kid being like, see me, like, please just like look at me, I'm here, and I want to be seen, and I want to be valued. And then I started going for more drastic forms of attention, and I started to self-harm. And even though back then I did not think I would never say back then I'm self-harming for attention. I would never ever have said that. And I think that's like a very like big statement to say, because you're saying, it's a big statement to say. But I think looking back at it now, I definitely was. Obviously, it wasn't just for attention. There were it was escapism and everything, but definitely a big part of it was it was like a big call for help, because I couldn't say it with my mouth anymore. I couldn't speak it with my words. I spoke it with like the marks on my skin.
Yeah.
I cut everywhere. Even on the points where it was really bad, I'd cut on my like actual throat, but like not deep enough to actually kill myself. But obviously there's a big risk there.
And this was 12 to 14 years?
I was 14 here. Wow. I was 14.
You were 14 years and this was happening. So, I mean, there are going to be quite, it sounds bad to say, there's probably quite a lot of 14-year-olds out there at the moment that are really struggling with body image, identity, I think is a big one.
Yeah.
But still, this is like super drastic. And I'm like, in terms of like, when you think about how you were feeling and how you're coping with that, I think when you're a teenager, actually just not even teenagers, but especially as a teenager, we don't know how to deal with our pain, our emotions.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a real epidemic with that, like, you know, in terms of trying to educate people in general, like, about how to kind of deal with their emotions. And I'm a big advocate for this.
Same. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm obviously so sorry you went through that, first of all. But I think in terms of obviously the extreme circumstances you went through, in terms of how your coping mechanisms were and how you dealt with that. So what happened in terms of the change point for you? What was the final straw where you actually went, what am I doing? This is too much.
Long story short, I tried to commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
I guess seeing the impact, I guess that was the real wake-up call for my family as well, being like, this is like, okay, this is really serious. And then we started going to like family therapy and stuff like that. And you know, I guess they actually finally, they saw me, I guess. They finally saw me.
Yeah.
Or I felt seen, maybe, because I don't like to say that it's all their fault, because absolutely not. Like, it's, you know, how I perceived things as well. So seeing the impact and the pain that caused to my family was kind of the moment I was like, okay, you know, let's go to therapy. I was going to therapy before then, but, you know, I guess that was just a turning point of really, you know, there's going to therapy, but then there's actually like trying in therapy. So
yeah,
there's, you know,
that's true.
Then I started trying in therapy. And the funny thing is, though, I feel like I stopped going to therapy. I guess in a weird way, I quotation marks grew out of it. But I didn't really. I guess, like, we'll get to that because it comes back. It always does. But yeah, that was kind of like the end of that first phase of depression, and that really changed me. And I guess oh man, I don't even know. I think I was too young to really take any lessons from that. I guess it was just like character building. Really fun character building.
Did you because you said you went to family therapy,
Yeah.
right? So have you ever got the chance to speak with your family in terms of their perspective and what they thought, what was going on, and you know what I mean? Because I'm also interested in their side as well. So yeah, I'm just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
What kind of was their perspective on this?
So the funny thing, I don't really exactly remember what their perspective is, because things are so different now.
Okay.
So like, which is great. Like right now with my family, like they support me so much with my creative career and my DJing and just all the million career switches I've had over the past couple of years. Like they've supported me 100%. And I feel like because the environment has changed, the family environment, where my sister moved to Hong Kong for university, and then I was the only child in the house, so you know the dynamics changed as well. So there wasn't that direct competition between me and my sister anymore.
I think I've kind of thought this through as well with our the different generation as well. When it comes to like mental health and like kind of, but not even just like the way mental health is. And the stigma around it is advertised these days. I mean, people might know me as like a mental health advocate, but I'm actually really interested in like on the individual level, like emotions and how we kind of deal with those. And I'm going through that myself as well in terms of, self-awareness, but also like just world awareness as well. From what I personally find, like the parents, when we're growing up, it's a very different dynamic. I mean, I don't know obviously about your parents' back or anything, but I know with my parents, like there really was no conversation around how to deal with this. Because when I went through my own stuff as well, and I won't go into that because I'm not my own guest on my podcast, but I found that like I look back now personally and I'm like, okay, my mom and dad's way of dealing with it, it mightn't have been optimal, but and at the time I was almost like, how they're reacting to it like this and stuff. But actually now upon reflection, I don't know if you find this, they really just didn't know. Like they did, like it's not like they're, because like I have amazing parents, but they just, when it comes to mental health side, now they're very good with it, having those conversations. But I think, that from their generation, the way they'd been brought up.
100%.
So your parents, where are your parents from?
Dutch.
Dutch.
Dutch, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, my mom's part Dutch and then part Venezuelan, and then my dad, but she grew up in Holland, so.
So this, what you spoke about there, that kind of really rough time for you, was this?
This was in Spain.
Oh, yes, of
Yes.
course. Sorry, yes, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How are you doing now?
Good. Honestly, now I'm probably in like the best mental state that I've been like ever in my life.
Love that.
Partly to my antidepressants, I finally decided to go on.
Okay.
But that's that's why I was like, it always comes back. At least in my case, it regularly comes back.
Yeah.
And then due to some other events, which is on the sheet, on the form that I submitted to you, I finally decided to take the leap and start taking antidepressants, and it was the best decision of my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This leads us nicely into your second event, moving to London.
Yes.
By yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to experience that independence. So you've obviously spoken about already that kind of really rough time. I'm curious about the gap just before it and what made you decide, right, it's time for me to go, and how old you were.
Well, funnily enough, it was kind of always we always knew we were going to leave at 18. Like,
Okay.
So my dad used to be a pilot. We used to, we're very used to traveling the world. I went to California alone as well for an exchange year when I was 16, and then my sister went to like all over the world with her tennis tournaments and stuff. So it was very common for us to travel. So leaving the house was almost kind of an expectation, like, okay, cool, you're going to university or you're doing whatever, but where is the question. And then it just ended up being London because I didn't want to go to America because I had a terrible time in America. So I was like, cool, next best place is London for like acting. So yeah, that's how I found myself in London. I was never scared to go. If anything, I was pretty ready to leave the nest.
And you said you were 18?
I was 18, yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that you went to London because you wanted to pursue acting.
Yeah.
Right, tell me about that time. How was that for you?
It was kind of like forced therapy. It was
Forced therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my drama school was we later discovered it wasn't even fully a registered licensed like school. It was mad. Like the teachers were, I swear one took too many one of the teachers took too much acid like in the 70s, and he's still a bit brain dead. Like the directors were weird and yeah, I mean weird.
Okay.
That's how I can describe my experience. But it was definitely like a lot came out, and especially I had to revisit a lot of my older traumas and my the stuff we just spoke about. And new stuff came up as well, which I never knew was there, which I then had to deal with. It was a lot. It was also quite a transformative time because I think I then started to get into meditation. I started to find my spirituality. I remember whenever we'd get to school, we'd have to get to school half an hour early before classes started, and I would always spend like that half an hour like in an empty room like meditating while everyone was like doing their thing or whatever. But
what got you into that? Meditation.
It's really funny.
I love that.
It's a really funny story.
Then I really want to know.
So I was still pretty insecure back then, but basically I was scouring the web, and I saw a video called The Law of Attraction, right?
Yeah.
So everyone knows what the law of attraction is. I fully thought that this was like a law to make you more attractive. So I
This is what the
clicked on
teenage
it.
years are for.
So I clicked on it being like, yes, finally, there's a law, there's a science to this.
This is gonna make me hot.
This is gonna make me hot. Well, bitches works. But
Oh my god.
yeah, so I clicked on it and then I actually thought, oh, okay, cool. I've been psyched. This is not what I thought it was. But that's kind of how I got into the law of attraction. And I'm not really that much into the law of attraction anymore. I don't really manifest anymore. I'm more like a chill spiritual person now. I remember before I was like so into the crystal. I was like such a typical, crystals and now I'm just, I do my meditation. I don't need to speak about it. That's it.
Do you know what? Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think, spirituality, like on this podcast and stuff, sometimes, religion and spirituality is a really big part for some of the guests. For others, not so much, and that's absolutely fine. So I won't, if it's very personalized to you, then that's totally fine. But in terms of, rather than going into how you kind of practice your spirituality, what has it done for you?
It's made me so much more in tune with myself and with the world, a little bit too much. I guess it's really unlocked it's just made me a really good functioning person.
I'd like to hear it.
I think that the way I carry myself, and I often get this compliment, is that the way I carry myself throughout the world is like a very good way. And I feel that's because I'm so self-aware of myself, what's happening on the inside, how I'm projecting that to the outside, and I'm so in tune, and at least I try to be in tune with others and aware around, like, with my surroundings and with how other people are feeling and everything. And I think that's why, like, I don't get mad at people, don't get people to get mad at me. I don't have really any drama or disagreements with people, just because, like, I mean, one, I can spot it from a mile away. So if I see that you're that type of person, I'll just remove myself immediately. And two, like, it's just, there's very little miscommunication because I really try to be the best human being that I can. Like,
That's
both for myself and both for whoever. You.
For me?
Everyone. We're all one.
We are all one.
But yeah.
Okay, no, that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I would love guests to get from not even just this podcast, but just like in life, I think is self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think it's a superpower.
Oh my goodness.
It's like my number one kind of pursuit for me. Like, I just think I was very, I don't know about you, but I was very like unaware of my own emotions. Like, I can say the obvious, okay, I know I'm upset or I know this, but I'm on about a deeper level, where is it coming from? And yeah, I think now I've worked on myself. I think you've clearly worked on yourself as well. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but I just find that life is so much more peaceful. Mm-hmm. Also, I find it easier to become like successful. And I don't mean that in just like a business context. I'm on about that in like the journey of happiness, but also financially and all that. I think that I've got Essex. I'm gonna start talking like this for the rest of it. Don't know where that came from, but that's classic Amy. I think my dad would be so proud. I think that becoming self-aware, it's not easy, because in order to become self-aware, you have to really dig deep, right? Yeah. To really dig deep. There's a lot of honesty there. I'm getting a lot of honesty from you, so I find that very admirable. But yeah, the spirituality thing, I've kind of encountering that recently, and I think that I connect with that sort of kind of realm of faith personally more than like the more religious, conventional religious sides, but each their own. I think I now understand, I think, more why people have their faith and stuff, because it is that kind of, sometimes that meaning or that guidance is what humans need, right? We actually need a little bit of guidance.
100%.
So, and that's something I've learned more recently. Yeah. So
I definitely feel like when it comes to spirituality, I mean, everyone has their deity, and some people have their Christianity or their Christ and their God, and then there's Hinduism, and then there's the spirituality that doesn't have like a name of religion, like, but then people call it, spirits, universe, whatever. But I think at the end of the day, like, it is all just a means of connecting with yourself, and that guidance that we are looking for from this greater power is actually just coming right, like, from ourselves.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, that's what I love about spirituality, because at the end of the day, like, you're alone in this world and you have no one else to turn to but yourself. And I'm such a big believer on being independent, that spirituality is one of those things that has helped me be independent while navigating my emotions and navigating my sensitivity and navigating this world, being the sensitive person I am. So yeah, it's definitely, it's brought me a lot of peace, like you said, as well. And it's helped me a lot. It's helped me a lot in many ways. I love a little journal.
Oh,
love
just
a little
started
journal.
journaling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everyone get journal, because trust me. Except don't make that public, because there's some seriously deep stuff in that journal.
Oh yeah.
I think journaling is. I knew of its benefits for a while, but I've actually only recently taken that step.
Do you do it every night, or do you do it like just
Not
whenever?
every night, but I try to do it regularly. And if I feel like I haven't done it regularly enough, I actually put it on my today list basically and say this must be done. I always get I don't know if you experienced this maybe before, if you do experience this, sometimes a bit of apprehension. I actually find before I'm like, there's something stopping me. And I'm like, ooh, interesting. But I'm one of those weirdos that if I find, like, I love psychoanalyzing myself. So if I find that I'm apprehensive about it, I'm like, oh, when do we really need to go for it then? Because there's something going to come up in this that I don't even realize. And that's actually quite interesting to me.
I actually find it the opposite. I find I'm actually the opposite. So I don't journal like really. I mean, I guess I journal regularly, but I don't have a routine in it. But sometimes when I find myself that I haven't journaled in a while, I found this really like this compulsion of like, oh, I want to put my thoughts on paper.
Yeah.
And I want to. Yeah, I definitely, and especially if it's something deep, I'm just like, yeah, let the waterworks, let it happen. Like,
oh, for sure.
I love a good cry.
Amen. Yeah. It's super true. I think I actually love when I'm in the middle of it. Sometimes starting for me, it depends, not all the time. Starting for me, I'm like, I think if there's something I'm going through and I don't want to accept it, maybe that's what the apprehension is, So, and then obviously when you write it, you realize this is happening. So, I find after, it's amazing though. It's kind of like therapy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're bringing your deeper emotions to surface.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? And don't feel that you have to give some amazing answer to this. There's going to be a lot of people that might be listening to this going like, they're at the very beginning stages. Maybe they're going through something similar to what you were before. But they're at the very beginning stages of kind of going, look, I do want to be happy. I'm kind of I'm in a place of struggle at the moment. And maybe if we go for even the younger generation as well, that could be in a similar patch to where you were. What kind of advice do you think you have? And again, I want to make sure you don't feel like there's any pressure to give this profound answer, because that's not what this podcast is about. It's just, yeah, you because you've kind of gone through that now. And I know life's a journey and it will continue to be so. But yeah, those maybe teenagers or these young people that are like, I'm really in a bad place, but I want to improve. I'm just lost. What kind of advice would you give them?
That is a good question.
He's like, and we'll be back in half an hour when she's had time to think about it.
I'm trying to think what I did.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Because I want to say, I mean, I think it's an obvious one to, the first step is to to let your guard down and to be able to accept help from others. So, to talk to people. But I understand that not everyone has the privilege to talk to the right people, so not everybody has a friend that really gets it. Sometimes that does make it worse. If there's, if you're talking to someone that just doesn't get it, like, yeah. So I feel like find something, find a, what helped me?
No, this is good. Like,
God. I mean, find something to obsess about.
okay, interesting.
Yeah, like pour. I mean, me, I pour it all into my creativity. And I poured it into dance when I got out of the lockdown. When I was depressed in the lockdowns, I found dance, and I poured literally everything into that, and I became obsessed with it. But find an outlet of some sort and walk. So important. If you're feeling down and you want to feel happy, walk.
Yeah.
It will always make you feel better. And this is something my mom always says. Whenever I'm like done bawling my eyes out to the phone, she's like, you have to go take a walk. And I really don't want to take a walk then, because I just want to lay in my bed and be sad and depressed. But if you actually go and take a walk, it will genuinely, breath of fresh air will make such a big difference, at least in that moment. And then it's those little habits. Here's my answer. It's building those little habits every single day. Because you can't just wake up and be happy. You have to you have to work towards it. And happiness also isn't just a full-on state of being you can be in all the time.
Facts.
Confidence and happiness comes from your actions. So you need to build, actions that you can be proud of, and that you can, look at yourself and be like, I did that today. Even if it's small, and then you build up, whether it's the gym, whether it's taking a walk outside, whether it's meditating for 10 minutes, and then you start building up that list. Like now I have a list of habits that I try and make every week, which is, drink my water, meditate, read. And then at the end, if I've done most of those things, I already feel, it doesn't matter if I didn't get all my things done that I need today. I'm like, well, I worked on myself today. Mm-hmm. And that is something to be happy about.
I think that's a really good answer, because it's so true, right? When I love listening to these motivation speakers, but psychologists and just people that do life, and
they do it well.
They do it well. But the habits thing, have you read Atomic Habits, the book?
No, it's on my list though.
Yeah. Really good book. That really, I think, opened my eyes to how when we stop, if we're like, okay, I'm in bed, I totally get it, I've been there, I'm in bed, I want to be depressed, I don't want to get out, right? And I know most people listening to this has had that at least once, right? Doesn't have to be anything super significant, but we've all been there where you just feel a bit crap. And sometimes our goals in the day are too big.
Yeah.
And where we need to meet that threshold of where this is just right. Even if it's
still finding it. Oh my God.
I think it's different for each day. Because sometimes
so
I'm in this super motivated mood and I'm like, I'm going to add loads to my list. I'm going to get all this done. And I'm like, actually now maybe I shouldn't add too much to my list. Because then you want enough on it that can kind of stimulate you, but not enough on it that's going to overwhelm you. But yeah, if you're in this kind of you're having one of those days feeling really, really stuck, what I personally do, I have this voice in my head and I'm like, okay, the priority here is just look after yourself. So do your teeth. Do you know what I mean? Or even do some skincare, something that's positive, but it's really simple. Because I'm like, that's the first step. I'm going, well, we're still kind of got it together.
Yeah.
We're not completely falling apart. But then other days I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm doing all that, but I need, it just depends. And I think enough to push you just slightly out of that comfort zone, but not to overwhelm you. Yeah. And other days, I'm sure you'll find you're like, oh, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got so much. Yeah.
I mean, to look back at all the little habits that I've created for myself that I've been able to keep up that, a couple years ago I didn't have any. When I first moved to London, I didn't meditate. I mean, I I didn't really go to the gym regularly. I didn't read. Like, I now I'm doing so many different. Oh, same with my productivity. I used to be so not productive, and now just because I've like built it up, and that it's also so much about like just like resistance, and I don't know if resistance is the right word, but is it perseverance? I don't.
Resilience?
Resilience, that's the one. About resilience and just like you have to like pushing a little bit every single day. And then even if you go back a little bit the day before, the next day to just pick up where you left off, and then when you look back, you've actually done a lot. To see that change, I've definitely become quite a productive person over the past couple of years. I mean, I've also grown and realized I have to make money if I want to keep living in London. But it's
Do you know the way you said, you know, you went to drama school here?
yeah.
Did you finish drama school?
No, I dropped out after the first year.
Okay, so did you have this big dream of like, I'm going to be an actress? Okay, this I'm really intrigued with now because I think across all a range of careers, people have experienced this. They're so set on this particular goal, and then suddenly they go, hey, this isn't for me. What made you go, actually, I don't think this is for me?
So I realized that I, was more attracted to the results of the dream than the actual work of acting itself. Like, I literally, like, when I had the dream of becoming an actress, like, I was in the middle of that kind of, you know, that phase of my depression and feeling wanted. So I think I was more attracted to the fame.
The glam of the fame.
The fame, the being on screen, being seen, and all that kind of stuff. But then kind of once I've healed or understood that part of myself, it didn't really seem, the rest didn't really seem that appealing. Like, I didn't actually want to work my ass off, because to be an actor or anything in the creative field, there's so much competition, you have to work your ass off. I didn't really want to go to those lengths to make it, to just, you know, be seen and be liked and have attention. I can get an OnlyFans for that.
So, and that's on the next episode. So again, my own perception of what you're telling me, and feel free to completely disagree with this, because this is just what these conversations are about, really, isn't it? Did you feel that the meaning behind the goal had changed? Your perception of what it meant, what it entailed?
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, hang on a second, this isn't it.
Yeah.
Because, I've spoken to lots of people that have kind of, I thought I was going to be this, I thought I was going to be that. And the thing is, I actually don't judge you at all for thinking about the hard work thing.
Yeah.
Because some people might go, oh, yeah, well, you know, honey, it's all, we have to work hard. And I think we know that.
Yeah.
But I think I actually get what you're saying, because
work hard for things that are worth it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm working my ass off for DJing now, you know.
This is a thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think I totally get what you're saying, because there's how much input to get the output, right?
Yeah, it needs to weigh up.
It does. And I think in order, if anyone is like, because you're kind of in the art and the creative industry, if anyone's like interested in that, make sure your why, this is what I'm saying, I asked you about the meaning side, the why is there. And what I mean by that is they think I'm talking about the actual letter. No, I'm on about the word WHY. In terms of like, why are you doing something? Mm-hmm. I did this. I'm sure you're like me, you've had like a million different careers.
Yeah.
Before the age of like, I mean, I think you were
23.
Yeah, of course, it was the exact same age as my brother on the day. And you've already had so many kind of different experiences.
So many.
I think that probably has that made you, first of all, grow up faster.
Yeah.
But also the kind of people you meet. I found this as well. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. But in that kind of creative industry, the people who, from my perspective, who really kind of are able to be resilient and they go for it, is because they have that meaning behind it. They're like, this is actually something I am passionate about and I enjoy doing. Not all the time, as I'm sure you found, not every hour of the day is fun DJing and stuff like that. But I've done it myself, where I'm going to start this TikTok and do this, I'm going to do this. But actually, the why wasn't there. It's like, I'm doing this because I want views or something, you know, I want something like that's fun. And then I realized that that wasn't really the kind of true goal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of acting, was it just the work bit, or because obviously you're putting so much, I've seen you're doing so much work in trying of getting your brand in terms of the DJing, but even the dancing side of stuff, which we'll go into in a minute. But was there anything else that when you were in drama school that made you go like, God, this isn't for me?
I'd say I felt I didn't really put a lot of heart in what I was doing. Like, I could, like, when you want to be something like an actor, you want to watch movies, study this, you want to act as much as you possibly can. And I felt like I was a bit like a lazy university student. And like, I felt like that shouldn't be the case, and I definitely won't get where I want to be in my acting career if this is the case. So that, and I didn't really connect with other actors, like, you know, I just didn't really, it was just, I didn't really, I don't want to say I didn't fit in, but I just didn't really connect with them fully. So yeah, I'd say mainly the biggest thing was just realizing that I just didn't really care about the scenes. I didn't really care about studying my lines. I didn't really, you know, so I just noticed, okay, this is obviously not what I'm supposed to do because I'm not loving it that much.
Fair enough. Okay, so you've, we mentioned there, you're passionate about your DJing, your dancing and stuff like that. So this brings us nicely onto the third and final event that we're going to talk about, unless we digress, which is completely a part of the plan. So you said you had the rise and fall of your dance career. Okay, so this is going to be very intriguing for me because obviously I've seen from a viewer's point. So yeah, I'm just going to let you talk now because I actually am really, really intrigued about this.
So, did you see my video when it
That
went
went
viral?
viral?
Yeah.
The one from the festival?
Yes.
Yes. How many
Yeah.
millions views did that get?
You know, on my account, it didn't even do that much. On my account, it did like 6 million, but on, like, it was
Not that much,
reposted.
not 6 million, guys.
Guys, like, come on. Rookie numbers. But it got reposted by literally every single meme page and festival page that you could possibly imagine. So it probably did a lot more than that. Wow. But then I had another video that on my page did about 30 million. So that
Another page that you ran?
on my Instagram.
What? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that got 30 million?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's just so like 30 million views.
Yeah, I know. It was mad. It was mad. That was a really, really, so I literally had no plans of Insta fame, you know? I didn't choose this life. It obviously chose me.
Insta fame chose you, honey.
But, yeah, it happened so freaking fast. It happened overnight. I was just someone that liked to dance to house music. I was DJing back then still. Not full time really. I was doing life coaching back then too. Oh my God, I've done everything. Yeah. And then I went viral, and then I started getting all these opportunities to basically be a dancer, be a shuffle dancer, because that's what it was. It was shuffle dance, and it was so niche. And I got, you know, obviously I was able to do, I made most of my money through like brands and stuff and brand sponsorships, but mainly through like teaching people.
Did you do that one-to-one?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did like one-to-one lessons, and yeah, it was like a really brief moment, but I had like big dreams, man, to like grow my Instagram and be like, and like dance on festival stages and stuff like that. That was like, I had big dreams there. And obviously, I wanted to do other styles of dance as well. Actually, no, I didn't even want to do it. Back then, before my injury, I just wanted to do shuffle because that's something I was good at. So I was like, finally, there's something I'm really good at and talented at, and someone's seeing it, like, and people are recognizing that.
Yeah.
Even though I look back at my videos now, I'm like, oh, I'm like, no.
Really?
Yeah. I'm
Why?
like, I cringe so hard.
Why?
Oh man, I just don't think I'm good. Well, I'm like decent, but I'm not that good.
Oh,
like,
honey, you should see, like, trust me, if I look back at my Irish dancing videos, I'm like, oh dear. You know, but you know what? It is what it is. Because this,
Yeah.
even like this podcast, right? Getting there with Amy Claire.
Yeah.
It's like, we all go through that. So, yeah, I mean, I guarantee you, if every average Joe and Jane was looking at that video, they'd probably be like, the ones that you're cringing at, they're probably going to be like, this is sick. Do you know what I mean? But you know what? If you feel that way, you feel that way. So
Yeah. So I was dancing literally. So I was dancing every single day, hours a day. I was dancing so much. I was not eating enough because it was summertime, and I was like, I look quite good skinny. So, you know, I was like, let me just cut down. Anyway, I'm not that hungry, whatever.
when was this, sorry?
And this was 2 years ago. This is 2021.
Okay.
Yeah. And then because I was dancing so much, mainly also because I thought I wasn't good enough to have the followers I had. So I was like dancing so much to like try and improve more, like just try and rapidly improve.
You had a very high case of imposter syndrome. It
Yes,
sounds
a
like.
huge case of imposter syndrome. And because I was dancing so much and I wasn't probably eating enough, and I have a hypermobile body, so I'm like hypermobile in every single joint you could possibly imagine, which isn't a good combo. I got tendonitis in both my feet. So, have you heard of tendonitis?
Yes.
Yeah, do you know?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Maybe people don't know what that is.
No, I know it because the
Oh.
climbing community, like the people who climb a bowl, they get it there.
Oh.
So, and the I have a few friends in jiu-jitsu
Okay.
and stuff that they can sometimes get that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, it's nasty. It's a nasty thing to have, especially on your feet, because you use those all the time.
I do.
And you know, they say rest. I'm like, honey, where? How?
Because this was your income.
This
right?
was my income.
Yeah.
So like suddenly, it went from like zero, like from everything to zero, or at least maybe not from everything to zero, because I refused to back down, which was my fault. And it definitely went on longer than it should have, because I just couldn't. I kept thinking, oh my God, if I stop, then they're all gonna leave and they're never gonna come back, and I'm, gonna be at ground zero. I'm gonna be lost again. I felt like I was lost for so long trying to find my feet in this world and find my passion and what I wanted to do. And then I felt like I finally found this like passion in dance that I've never knew I had before, and then it just all like went away. So where was I?
So you had the tendonitis.
I had the
so you had this
tendonitis.
big career, and then suddenly that kicks in.
Yes.
You pushed yourself a little bit too far from the sounds
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
And what happened then?
Yeah, and then I had tendonitis for literally like a year and a half, like a year and a bit, like long. Honestly,
So you couldn't dance.
I couldn't really dance. No, I would sometimes still, but yeah, I couldn't dance, and I mean, at one point I just couldn't walk really. Like I was limping everywhere. If I'd walk for anywhere like for 5 minutes, I'd have to stop. Like life was just difficult. It was really difficult and painful, and I was in pain like all the time. And apart from that, I was having some other issues with like my like reproductive system, and my hair was falling out a lot. Yeah, I like lost like so much hair. They inserted my coil wrong, so I was bleeding like every single day, and so I lost a lot of blood. Became like anemic basically.
This is all around the
This
same
is
time.
all during the same time, so it was like a lot. And then losing the thing that I loved, like I've never loved anything so much in my entire life. Losing that, it was just a lot to handle. A lot to handle. So, especially feeling that same kind of, I was grieving. I was really grieving my dance. I was grieving the life or the opportunity and the future that I thought I was gonna have, and that I was finally felt like things were gonna be okay, because I felt like I was lost and just trying things for like all the time, and I was like, finally I found my thing, I'm gonna be okay, and then again I was like, I'm lost again. And it's that thing that young people probably have, or maybe I have it to an intense amount, but like oh my God, time is running out, you know?
Yeah.
Time's running out. I'm 22. Like, you know, my friends are in uni and or they've just finished uni and now they're gonna go do their jobs and they're gonna have their careers and be able to rent somewhere that's not a council flat, and I'm still in this council flat and I'm so broke and I'm so this, and I'm like, how the hell am I gonna catch up, you know? So I felt like every second that was going was just like time wasted. So I got super anxious. I'm super depressed again.
No, it's okay. I honestly think that like most people experience some, like, you know, we all have bad patches in our life. So yeah, and if you've had it before, obviously, I totally get it.
Yeah, but this was definitely like a whole new level of like emptiness that I've never felt before. I was just so completely numb to the point where like I would be out sometimes just like full on zombie.
Did you feel that at this point it was kind of rock bottom for you then?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if you experienced this, but like there's people I've spoken to, and I think it's just a thing as well. And even to be honest myself, like, because I'm going to be honest on this podcast as well, like when I experience like a rock bottom, I find that's when the switch goes off. As it's not actually, the switch goes on.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So like when I feel like sometimes you actually have to reach the lowest point you possibly can for you to go. It's not almost like, it's not like, oh, I have nothing else to lose, but it's like the only way is up now. So I can only imagine, you know, this kind of, it's a combination thing. So what then in terms of your journey now that you kind of, because you mentioned earlier that you're now in like one of the best places in your life. So tell me about that kind of transition now into the
okay. So I felt like, well, first of all, throughout 2022 when I was dealing with all these things, I was just fully kind of always denying that I was I was denying the fact that I was depressed, and I was denying the fact that I knew things were really, really bad, like in terms of my life situation, but I just didn't want to lose the fight over something that I thought was so like, oh, it's just an injury, Max, like get over it, you know, like get over it. But it was actually like, I couldn't keep telling myself that because it was really impacting everything in my life. I mean, I couldn't work. The reason I'm a social media manager now is because I couldn't find any other work because I couldn't stand up for longer than X amount of time. So I had to just like completely reinvent everything. And I just kept trying to, I was just focused on staying afloat and focused on pushing, that it just completely numbed me out. And then I finally decided to get therapy because I was having like mental breakdowns and like panic attacks every couple, like came to a point where it was like every week. And then I finally decided to go to therapy. And then my therapist was the one that kind of validated my depression for me, and she was like, "Yeah, I think you're depressed." And when she said that, that's actually when things changed for me, because
for the better.
So first for the worst, and then for the better.
Okay, I think actually, I think that's the thing. Yeah,
because it was weird because I finally was like, oh my God, yes, I'm depressed, and that I finally stopped fighting, so all that anxiety kind of left, but then I was just really depressed. So January was when I was like, literally, I did not leave my bed at all, barely could cook for myself. Like it was like that level of depression. Well, before it was more like a functioning person depression, where I just had to like push through life. But because I finally allowed myself to be at that place and allowed myself to meet me where I actually was, rather than just denying and being like, stop being weak, because that's what I would tell myself all the time. Whenever I'd get sad about it, over something that's a very normal thing to get sad about, I would be like, just stop being weak, like it'll be fine, get over it. So I finally allowed myself to be sad and depressed, and that's when I could finally allow myself to get out of it. And I mean, that's also the time where I went on antidepressants, which was so very needed. because I don't think I was having therapy for a little while and things just weren't working. And I think I really needed that to kind of give me the boost to be able to take the tools and just be able to like climb the rest of the way up out of the big black hole I was in. But yeah, then everything kind of but everything just kind of came together. Everything came together, and things started really quickly just looking better. And
How?
Well, it was kind of like the universe. Maybe I kind of only focus on the negative. So the negative, I was like, I had a coin of bad luck in my pocket in 2022, or just everything, nothing good happened. Even though when I look back at it, like, okay, yeah, there were some good things that happened. I just couldn't really see it. But then in 2023, when I finally started taking the antidepressants and therapy started actually working, and like, it's almost like the universe started giving me little like rewards. And just things came together. Like, I met some people that brought me new job opportunities. I started it started pushing me more into DJing. So I started going more into DJing.
Okay.
And now I'm getting some really big bookings, and I'm like doing really well on that front. I'm going to start producing music. So like I've started producing music, but there's just things that kind of showed me that this was meant to happen, and you're on the right path now. I don't think that my body is meant to be a dancer.
Okay.
I can move, but
She can move.
I can move, but
we know that.
with my hypermobile body, to be a full-time dancer in the way that I want it to be, it's just not possible.
I think anyone in sports can relate to this, right? Because when it's injuries and it's the end of a career, like I remember actually, when I used to watch I watched football and stuff. So when I see like an injury that isn't, they could be out for a season. I remember when I was younger, I was kind of like, but they're still getting paid for it though. Like, who cares and stuff like that. And then now, because I've actually grown and matured, I was like, okay, now I get it. Because when it's a passion, it's like, this is my dream and this is not how I envisioned it. And you mentioned earlier, it's like you were grieving for like your future. You know what I mean? So now you've obviously, you're an excellent DJ and you get these big bookings, and like, I'm super happy for you as well, and you deserve that. What is your favorite thing about your life right now?
Oh my god. Good one. Was this the question?
Nope.
Oh.
No.
Okay, I'd say my favorite thing about my life right now is my flexibility to travel.
Nice.
So I was planning to move back to Barcelona because I was kind of done with London and I needed some sunshine. But when I started getting these big bookings, I decided to extend my stay for a little bit. But I'm so grateful that my mom literally wasn't even planning to move to Barcelona, but she literally moved to Barcelona in June. And she has an apartment there with an extra room. Basically, we share the place, so I can go there whenever I want. I have a closet there. I can just go there with a backpack whenever I want. So I can live between Barcelona and London. So I can have kind of have my cake and eat it too. Have a slice of my cake and eat it too, something like that.
Sure. Yeah, I think.
Sure. Have my cake and eat it too. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But I can have the best of both worlds, and feel so grateful and so lucky to have that, because there's so much opportunity here in London, but then there's that lifestyle that I prefer in Barcelona.
Right.
But I can have both now, and
Nice.
I'm really grateful for that. That's definitely a privilege.
Amazing. So to wrap up the podcast, now the questions.
The question.
It's funny because like people who are going to be listening to this, if they listen to the other ones, they all know what this is. So I ask each guest, the reason I asked this specific question is because it's the thing that made me kind of go, right, Amy, time to really get cracking now. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just something I'm really curious about. So you said you're 23 now, right? If 33-year-old Max was sitting right there, what do you think she'd say to you?
33.
Is that 10 years older? Yeah.
Put your sunscreen on, bitch. You don't do it enough.
What advice do you think she'd give you?
Oh my God, like, I know what it is. I just don't follow it. It's like, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna get there. Like, if you did nothing for a month, it wouldn't set you back that much. And sometimes we really need to do nothing for a month. Like, genuinely. I just came back from festival season, where I've done I felt like I was drowning, and I was like, September time, I was like, I'm gonna chill. And in September, I was like, I don't like chilling. Like,
Struggle to chill.
I need to do something. But sometimes, and then I got tonsillitis last week, and then I had to chill.
Okay.
So it's like, you gotta chill, otherwise your body's gonna do it for you. And don't be so hard on yourself, because no one knows what they're doing. No one.
We're all just
getting there. Wow.
That is
beautiful.
definitely going in the promo video. No, thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast, Max.
Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to see you in person as well. I wish you best of luck with your career. I will definitely be continuing to support and follow you. And thank you for being so brutally honest as well.
You're welcome.
I think there'll be people listening to this, and you know, some mightn't have been in the obviously exact same position, but there'll be people going through their own things, and they'll go, do you know what? Yeah, this is just proof that you can come out of it, and it just takes some time. But yes, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Bye.